Oh, so the Norfolk house that I lived in was a settlement house in Roxbury, and it was offering, students could live in the settlement house if they would offer their skills to different programming within the Norfolk house. And so one of the residents was a guy, and we started going out. And we went out for about a year and a half, but I felt guilty because I still did not connect with him. I was in therapy to try and be straight, which was my only alternative. And the therapist would encourage me to continue dating. And I said, you know, I'm really uptight about this. I don't feel right about it. And he suggested I have a few drinks. And I thought, if that's going to relax me and if I could change my ways. So I developed a drinking problem. I'm not blaming him. I developed it. But it was a terrible time to have these feelings and feel like you have no choice but to try and change. So eventually, I sort of parted ways with him, but I have always felt guilty about that I wasn't honest in the relationship. So it's not really resolved for me, but he was a good guy. And I hope he's happy with kids.
Mary, in 1969, there was Stonewall and the uprising, and you want to talk about your reaction to it?
I had no idea that there were lesbians and gay people out there to change the history or the reputation of us. When I heard about Stonewall, which I hope all of you know, so I thought, this is for me to finally feel good about myself and to want to get involved in it. And it changed my life, and I know a lot of lesbians. It really has made my life wonderful.
So around that time, you moved to Cambridge. And you started going to DOB, you went to some of the activities and the wraps there, and Thanksgiving, nice things. And then you went to the Women's Center. And what did you find at the Women's Center?
I don't know if you know about the Women's Center, but it was one of the first women's centers in Massachusetts, if not the country. And it came about as a takeover of women taking a building, a downright old building at Harvard, taking over the building, asking that there be a women's center. And the takeover lasted a long time. And I secretly went down and watched the takeover. I didn't feel, I was still social work. I didn't feel safe enough to come out, but I was inspired by it. And once the Women's Center got established here in Cambridge, I got involved in it. I joined a women's group, came out. I also, as part of the Women's Center, there was the women's school. Speaking of never being good at school, I was excited about women in school. So I loved the women's school. I took a lot of classes and I gave a few here and there. And the women's school was sort of like non-traditional. You could learn about how to oil your car. But it also taught about the classics of lesbian women. I was really excited. So that was part of.
So you were in a consciousness raising group also at the Women's Center, right?
Right.
And what happened in that? There was a party or something you went to?
we're leading up to a lesbian relationship. And here's the story. So I was in the consciousness raising group for a long time, and one of the women in the group always had a holiday festival get together. And so she invited the group to the party. It was in Framingham. And I met somebody there that I liked a lot, and I called her one night and I asked her if she would like to go nude swimming in Cambridge at the YWCA. She said yes. So I can't even believe it because I'm so modest, actually. So we ended up getting together for 29 years or something. No, 19 years, and it was a hell of a good swim.
The other thing that maybe you could talk a little bit about, Mary.
It would be a little bit.
Okay, it'll be a little bit. Is about your collection that you have had for many, many years, from like the 1970s on, some photographs. You want to talk about that?
When I lived in Roxbury, there was a lot of graffiti around, and I was really touched by the graffiti, touched and appalled by it. And I started to take pictures of graffiti. And there was also shocking stuff. There was a lot of racism back then on people's abandoned walls and buildings. So I got excited about graffiti, and that also moved on to collecting buttons about anything connected with change and GBLT stuff. And now, am I on to something else? Oh, I go to demonstrations now and take pictures of people's signs. And I love it because it's all ages of people who go and demonstrate that they're not happy with what the country's doing and what we've come to. I used to be a proud person, but now I'm like embarrassed that this is the country I live in. And I'm hoping that I can find a place to take these photographs so that 5 or 6 years from now, people will see that we really were excited about what's happening and we wanted change. We didn't like what we had become.
Thank you very much, Mary. Great evening.